Fernandez here with another episode of Think Like a Millionaire. And today, guys, I want to talk about, being distracted. You see it a lot of days now, guys, where people are so distracted when they're at an event. They're so distracted when they're amongst family. They're so distracted in many environments, either on their cell phone or mentally just not in the current place. And after studying a lot of the successful people that I studied and talking to a lot of the millionaires that I chat with, one of the things that they focus on is a simple skill and concept of just being more present. I remember I was at an event several years ago, and there was this gentleman who, he wasn't doing too well in business, and he was kind of sharing his story. And he said that he was at an event, and he noticed that, he was at this event, he noticed that he just wasn't present. And he decided going into the new year that the one skill he was going to master that year was being more present, being more in that moment so that he can enjoy it. He can even pour into people better. And, he just said, that's my resolution this year. Fast forward, at the end of that year, he was sharing how his whole business changed, his relationship with his agents on his team, his relationship with his clients, his relationship even with his spouse changed because people sensed that he cared more. People sensed that he was more present. And one of the biggest, I think weaknesses a lot of people have, especially this new generation growing up with technology, is they're not present. If you ever noticed at an event, they're just face deep in their phone. They're not paying attention. They don't know what's going on. So, what I wanted to do today, guys, is I was reading an article by Jack Canfield, and I thought it was so relevant to what's going on today. And I wanted to share that article with you and share some of the tips on 6 tips to stay in the present moment, to be present so you can enjoy. What does that do for you, though? Like, what does being present do for you? Well, here's a few things. Number one, it allows you to stay focused on the task at hand. It allows you to stay focused on what's going on now. If we want to conquer life and we want to conquer and do all these big things, we have to conquer this exact same moment that we're in right now so that we can plant the seed for the future. But too many times we're focused on, what's going to happen or we're worried about something that we never get to master and conquer this moment right here. I remember when I started doing my gratitude journal, which I mentioned in the last episode. And one of the things I used to say when I learned this concept was, I'm so grateful for this moment right here, right? Because think about it. We're always waiting for some moment to be grateful for. We're always waiting for an event to be grateful for. But sometimes we got to just be grateful for the moment that you're in right now. So what I want to do is I want to dive right into, some of these things. By the way, guys, if you're watching the replay of this on YouTube, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you get notified every time we post videos to YouTube. All right, guys, so let's dive right in. 6 tips to stay in the present. Number 1 is make the commitment to be present, right? Making the commitment is saying, okay, it's basically letting your brain know and acknowledging that I'm going to make a commitment to focus on being present. So when you wake up in the morning, every day, you got to remind yourself, hey, I'm going to conquer this day. I'm going to conquer each moment in this day. So making that commitment is almost like creating a goal to be present and reminding yourself daily that you're going to conquer that day. The second thing, and it ties into number 1, number 2 is you got to develop a system, right? Our brain has its own habits sometimes. And a good example of that is I was talking to a friend of mine and we were laughing because have you ever been in a car driving home from work or school or somewhere where you usually go to? And then you look up, you're like, damn, how the heck did I get here? Because your subconscious knows the route, done it so many times, it doesn't even think about it anymore. And a lot of the bad habits that we have are that same way. They're almost subconscious that we keep doing them and doing them. So one of the things, if you want to be more present, is you got to combat that. You got to have a system to say, okay, how am I going to combat that? My brain naturally wants to not be present. My brain naturally wants to do this and veer off and do that. So, creating a system is just develop a system of reminders, whatever suits you best. Maybe you have a phone and every hour you put a reminder, hey, make sure you're in the moment. Make sure, maybe write it down if you're not a technology person. Have it in front of you. Hey, be more present. Maybe you have like an affirmation that you say, hey, I'm going to be in the moment. I'm going to be in the moment. Or something that you can do throughout the day to start training yourself and developing a system to train yourself in order for you to be more present in the moment. So number 2 was develop a system. Number 3, become more aware of your body, right? Because sometimes, the biggest distraction is us, our physical body, man. Number 1, maybe we have a pain. For example, I have back pain sometimes. And when I have back pain, I am nowhere near in the moment, right? I'm somewhere else. I'm like in another place because I'm constantly thinking about that pain. Or maybe you're hungry. Maybe you're like, man, I'm starving. people are talking to you and you're just like, because you're thinking about food. So knowing your body and knowing what to feed it and knowing how to, take care of it physically will allow you to be in the present more, because you don't have to think about that, right? You don't have to worry about, man, something's in my body's telling me something right now. So the more you take care and become aware of your body, you address those needs. And when you address those needs, it allows your mind to focus on what you're doing in the moment that you're in. Hope that makes sense. Number 4, remain conscious of your thoughts, right? Remaining conscious of your thoughts is a few things. Number 1 is focusing your mind on the present. It's basically saying, hey, I'm noticing that my mind is starting to think negative thoughts. I'm noticing that my mind is starting to think about worry about this situation, worry about that. And when you monitor that, you can say, okay, let me veer back on. Let me get back on course because I'm veering off of the road. So the number 1 thing is you want to start monitoring those thoughts. It almost goes along with developing a system is, hey, I'm noticing that my mind is starting to think about, the next week's paycheck, or think about that bill that's coming up. And you start to think and worry, or you start to think about something that could potentially happen. And what happens, especially with worry, is it veers you from the moment, and think about that. Have you ever been enjoying your time one day and just, hey man, and then all of a sudden, for no reason, here comes a negative thought. It got you worried about something. And I noticed that in myself in the past. And I said, why do I do that? And recently, over the last 6 months, I'm going to notice when I do that. And I'm going to have something. I'm going to do something to remind myself, either breathing exercise or something, so I can eliminate that, because it can ruin a moment and lose your focus from living in that present moment. So that was number 4. Number 5, be aware of your surroundings. This was huge. This one is really big. This is actually one of my favorite, of the 5. Just take in the beauty. Take in the beauty. Sometimes I'm at a family party and, it's a little emotional actually. I just said that. I'm at a family party. I'm just looking at my relatives and I'm like, man, this moment is special. Cause if you're not in the moment, you're thinking, oh, this is just another family gathering. But then I look at the moment. I'm like, man, several years from now, we might not have this moment again. You got your family here, you got your older relatives. Man, let me just enjoy the fact, that I was at a party one time and I was just like, man, just enjoying the buzz of people talking and hearing my family members' voices in the distance. I was like, let me enjoy this, because this is something that I can, put in a capsule, put in a bottle, have it with me for life. That smell, I always laugh at my cousins. Like, you remember the smell of grandma's house when you walk in? Enjoy those things. So, when you're going around in life and sometimes you could just see the beauty in things, or just see take in the smell and just stop and pause and realize where you're at. Sometimes that is powerful all on its own. So enjoy your surroundings. Number 6, enjoy being where you are. And what I mean by that is we always spend time waiting, right? And this is huge, because I noticed this years ago. And what I meant is there's these milestones in life that we always aim for, have that baby, and here comes Christmas, and here comes, I want to buy this house. But sometimes we're so, anticipating and waiting that the time in between, we don't get to really enjoy. From the time that, we start waiting for that, there's a lot of special moments that happen, just being in those moments and being, present. And a lot of times our mind is always thinking about something that's going to come up, that we don't enjoy those moments that we have right then and there. We're always waiting on something. We're always waiting on this. And then what happens is, that time, our mind is not present in those moments. And sometimes you look back at life like, man, what happened between this time frame, right? I don't remember too much of that. That's because we were always waiting for some event, waiting for that promotion, waiting for, that vacation. But in between, enjoy those moments, because that's where you can be more present, be more focused, understand what's going on. So, I wanted to share those 6 tips with you guys, because I think that we live in a time frame, like I mentioned earlier, where people just need to be more present, right? The more present you are, can have benefits all around in your life, in your business, in your relationships, in your moments, in your happiness, in your clarity. It can even help stop depression, right? Because we're worried about all these things, and just stop and enjoy the moments that we have. And you'll create more memories that way. Sometimes we have memories based off big events in our life. Like, man, this vacation was awesome. That holiday was awesome. But sometimes just the everyday things that you do, you can create memories all on its own. So I wanted to share that with you guys, 6 tips to stay in the present moment, so that you can have a better impact on other people and have, just a better impact in your own life. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in. As always, your success is important to me, guys. I'll see you guys out there, out in the field.